see here. Mr. Franklin, please step up. We are closed with the speakers. Mr. Chair, I'll start with you. Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is CTA Chan, the chairperson of the coalition for the Chinese American community. The coalition known as CTA is the coalition of major service organizations collectively advocate for issues and concerns of the Chinese American community. And 4 weeks ago, we attended the CTA community meeting regarding the red line construction project. I want to thank all of you that for your recognition of Chinatown as a commercial hub of the ESL community. And at the same time, I want to commend you for your proactive planning to alleviate the impact on the Chinatown community. But then I also want to impress you that Chinatown is not only that commercial district anymore. That's a historical district, but for each of the last 2 decades, the population of the Chinese American in the south side of Chicago has increased by more than 50%. And so the Armour Square area, we call the historic Chinatown, where we also celebrating the centennial of moving from downtown 100 years ago, now accounts for about only 1/3 of the total Chinese American population. And the rest of the population are moving west and southwest, all the way to Bridgeport, McKinney Park, Brighton Park, and some also moving to the east side, Market, south of Mercy Hospital, down to a street. So when Alderman also mentioned about the growth in the south side of Chicago and Bridgeport area, I imagine that many of this increase will be the Chinese American population. And these immigrant community immigrants share really one common characteristic, being that they really move south and southwest looking for affordable dwelling, and also senior citizen searching for also affordable senior housing anywhere they could find it. And one thing to indicate the importance of CTA, where you can really change the neighborhood, people kind of attributed to the fact that the very reliable Route 62 Archer bus was really one of the main reasons for the southwest expansion of Chinatown. But then, as is well known, when you look at the east-west transit, or the lack of the east-west transit, that is still remains to be a major challenge. And you have heard from many community groups about advocating for the full-length 31st Street bus line with very convincing reasons. Among them, we bringing together the customer and businesses, providing jobs, creating access to jobs, commuting for students, and also access to health care. These are all very valid and very convincing reasons. So the question remains is really why it hasn't been done. And I want to bring you back to the Chinese American community. I remember vividly 4 years ago when during one of the community town hall meeting organized by CBCAC, a group of Chinese senior citizens living in the park south of Mercy Hospital, to organize themselves, came to the meeting and tried to share with the rest of the community the frustrating experience that they endure over there, being that they are prisoners in their own home, not being able to access, not being able to do grocery shopping over the particular street shops, not being able to access to the cultural-specific, language-specific program and services in the Wentworth and Survey Chinatown area. And they presented the case to City Hall, to the mayor's office, and so to CTA. And 4 years later, some of the senior obviously older, and they're asking the question, what's happened? And from the community's point of view, I understand that when you make a decision, actually, judging from all the discussion that we have, the question about the first street bus line, we are beyond the stage of talking about whether this is a good idea. We're actually talking about how to implement it. And as decision-making and board members, I understand that you have to examine options. You have to also determine the timeline. So I urge you that you don't put this matter on hold. I urge the board to approve the full length 31st Street bus line. I think this is an opportune time where we have consensus and support from the media group, legislators from the state, from the city government, also with the availability of the money. Now, as far as the new immigrants and seniors in the community, this is actually not just a matter of convenience. This is really the difference between isolation versus some opportunity of independence and quality living. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Ma, you'd like to
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to testify before this board. My name is Teresa Ma. I'm also with the Coalition for a Better Chinese American Community. I work in Chinatown, live in McKinley Park, and am closely involved with community members and organizations in Bridgeport, including Bridgeport Alliance. I'm here to ask the CTA to consider the full 31st Street bus route from Lakefront to Cicero Avenue, not just an extension of the 35th Street bus line. In east-west Cicero to Lakefront transit route along 31st Street is sorely needed in an area where there has been tremendous population growth and where there is a wide gap in bus service between Cermak Avenue and 35th Street. A large percentage of population growth in areas potentially served by a full 31st Street bus route from the Lakefront to Cicero is from the expansion of the Chinese American population beyond the Armour Square Chinatown neighborhood, as Mr. Chan just described to you. This population would greatly benefit from the existence of the 31st Street bus. It would connect our community to businesses and institutions along the route, including the Target, which was previously mentioned, the Riverside Plaza Shopping Center, various elementary schools, Benton House, the food pantry, whose clientele is majority Chinese American, I should add. The Buddhist Temple on 31st Street, Cermak Produce on Halstead, and the 31st Street Beach. Last summer, while I was working with a group of newly arrived Chinese immigrant youth who didn't speak much English, and whose only way of getting around was by CTA, we wanted to direct them to a free recreational resource easily accessible by public transportation. In particular, I wanted them to be able to enjoy the beach at the lakefront. 31st Street Beach would have been ideal. A straight shot east of Bridgeport or Armour Square, neighborhoods where that they were familiar with. Unfortunately, in the absence of a 31st Street bus, such an outing where they would have been able to have fun and not worry about complicated travel instructions or feeling unwelcome in an unfamiliar neighborhood just did not exist. Also, earlier this year, I learned of a paid internship opportunity in Little Village that specifically requested Chinese-speaking youth. And while I was able to identify a candidate for this position, there was no easy way for that young man to travel from Chinatown to Little Village to take this internship without access to a car. The 31st Street bus would have addressed this situation perfectly, but sadly the line does not exist. I understand that there are JARC funds available specifically to jumpstart this line, and I urge CTA to identify the matching funds in order to utilize this JARC grant for a full 31st Street bus route from Lakefront to Cicero Avenue. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Mr. Franco, with regard to board.
Okay, before I speak, I have to salute the flag, and I will tell you the reason. The reason is I'm also Army veteran and a Vietnam vet, and me and Alderman Bolser share the same medal, which is the Purple Heart, which I was also wounded in Vietnam, but that's it. I'm not going anymore. Now, I'm hearing this story.
What's your name? What's your name?
My name is Victor Franco, Franco. Now, I propose or suggest that we start on 35th Street and Cicero. The reason why 24th Street is, we already have like 2 or 3 bus stops there. I mean, where a bus will take a break or rest. before it continues on Cermak and 26th Street. I don't know if the Ogden bus stops there or not, but I think. But anyway, I suggest 35th and Cicero. The reason why, you have a new proposed Walmart opening up there, and like this gentleman earlier said, on its opening statement, that you need the most rider for less money. And I suggest that you reinstate the reinstate the 31st Street bus and extend the 35th Street bus. And my proposal is you start 35th and Cicero with a new proposed Walmart will open, and you also have the racetrack. They're talking about having gaming machines, so that will hopefully gain riders, because if they put slot machines there, people are going to be going. But, and also the reason they should travel north to 31st Street on Cicero, and then from 31st Street and Cicero turn east, which will pass through the Little Village High School, which they're complaining there is no ridership, which is true, and keep going east on 35th Street to Kedzie, which a new proposed hospital. I think it's St. Anthony's going to build a new hospital there on 31st and Kedzie, and keep going east to Western. Now 31st Street ends at Western. I could tell you all the bus lines and the CTA routes and all this, but I have someone that's supposed to make up this graph for me, and he's not here. I guess he didn't have any time. Anyway, you go up to 31st Street and Western, because 31st Street does not extend east no more. It ends at Western, and there's nothing east on 35th Street, I think, until Archer Avenue. So you got a big gap there. So my proposal is when you hit Western, go south to 35th Street. And then again, you go east on 35th Street, all the way to Martin Luther King Drive or Cottage Grove, and then go north to 35th Street. And during the summertime, have this until 31st Street, till you go to the beach during the summertime. Now, nobody wants to go to wintertime during the beach. To the beach during the wintertime. But if they want to, look at the sites, okay, fine, they can walk across that footbridge, the pedestrian bridge, whatever. And during the rest of the time, it ends at Martin Luther King Drive or Cottage Grove, or maybe even Lakeshore Drive. I don't know if it stops there or not. But that's my proposal. And I could go on, and I've been on 31st Street, east of Halsted, I think, and those streets are narrow. You can't get two buses side by side. Maybe you might get one in a car, but not two buses. You have a hard time getting two cars by there, and I've been there.
Wrong.
Wrong, okay. I'm thinking now. But anyway, that's my suggestion. Not reinstate, but reinstate the 31st Street, but expand 35th Street / 31st Street bus until you hit Western, and then go west to Cicero, and then Cicero to 35th Street, where you got the new Walmart, the proposed Walmart, and the racetrack. And you have the orange line, you connect the orange line on 35th, Sox Park on 35th Street, the green line, and all these other stores in the commercial areas. And I thank you.
Thank you. I want to thank you, Mr. Franklin, and actually thank all the speakers today for